Welcome back to the channel, guys. This one is going to be a fun one to say the least, because it is on Mirri as a healer, arguably the best healer in Elder Scrolls Online right now as a companion. So this is going to be a fun one to say the least. If you're excited, do me a huge favor, drop a like on this video. Also subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, because it really does help this channel grow. Also, I do have a pretty sizable playlist for a Let's Play on Elder Scrolls Online on my Let's Play channel. A link to that will be in the description down below. If you're interested, do me a huge favor, go over there and give that channel a subscription too, because it really does help. So with that being said, let's jump right into this. So right off the bat, Mirri starts off with Rejuvenation. I really like this skill as my #1 slot, mainly because it has a pretty strong heal over time. This skill, once activated, gives you 10,235 health over a period of 8 seconds. So it's a pretty potent skill, to say the least. And well, that's what it's, the cooldown's also 10.4 seconds with the current setup that we have on. Of course, we are running something that's gonna affect that a little bit. We'll get into that in a second, though. So again, right off the bat, this is a very good heal over time. So it is probably the only mandatory skill to have on Mirri, in my opinion. I really like this skill a lot, even on personal builds with radiating regeneration or rapid regen. Those skills are just pretty fundamental to healing, in my opinion, and it hasn't changed here with companions either, at least in my opinion, with Rejuvenation in my #1 slot. So moving on to #2 is Blood Transfusion. I like this skill a lot, man, because it has a very strong heal of 15,345 over 8 seconds. It is extraordinarily powerful, and this is an absolute must because of that. It is a class skill under Soul Siphon, the #2 ability here at Blood Transfusion. It is a very powerful, again, 15,345 health over 8 seconds is nothing to scoff over, it's nothing to laugh about. It is a very good heal right off the bat. It's a very basic skill. All it does is heal over time, but it is a very effective one. Alongside with Rejuvenation, you have two very powerful heal over times active at any given moment, especially if they're both activated at the same time or one right after another. It ends up being a very, very potent heal over time in conjunction with Rejuvenation. Moving on to Mystic Fortress in the #3 spot, Mirri does, or has, a damage shield of 26,100 damage. That is a very powerful skill. It is under the Restoration Staff of the last skill on the line. I like having this in my #3 spot. You can move this a little bit forward, probably #2, and just swap these two positions, but I find that the heal over time is pretty powerful, to say the least, and I'd rather have it for the back. It's pretty... She's very stacked with heals, so having it in the middle and have it rotating around that way, in my opinion, ends up working the best. I've experimented with having it in various locations on my bar before, and again, I find that this is probably the best for my liking personally. But again, this is a very great damage shield. It doesn't only affect her though, it also has the ability to affect somebody in the group, to include you or somebody else in the group with that same damage shield. So it's not just for her, but it's also for somebody in the party. So it's a pretty well-rounded skill all the way around. So just keep in mind though, if she gives the damage shield to somebody else, she won't have it, and vice versa. If she activates the damage shield on herself, somebody in the group, including yourself, will not have that damage shield, which should be okay for sustainability for you and your group. I'd rather have Mirri sustain herself so that I won't have to worry about her. So this skill, again, pretty powerful damage shield. I really like it, and I do recommend having it on your bar. Moving on to the #4 slot is Mending Incantation. This skill heals herself and allies, so it's not an or, it's not healing Mirri or somebody in your group, it's Mirri and allies in your group for 5,119. So this is a great skill to say the least. Again, it's on Restoration Staff, your number 2 slot. It does heals for everyone, and it's very good. This also gives you 7,000 spell and physical and spell resistance to anybody affected, which is pretty good to say the least. It's a pretty massive amount of spell and physical resistance coming from Mirri, if I do say so myself, or anybody using this, because again, it's under the Resto staff, so any companion would be able to use this. So it's a really good ability to say the least. To finish off the regular skills is Reverse and Entropy. This is under the Mages Guild skill line on your number 2 slot. Skill, I mean, what she ends up doing is that she heals anybody that she wants to heal, because it's not just her, she doesn't heal herself with this. This is 100% for somebody else, right? So it could be somebody in your group or it could be you, but whoever she decides to heal, they would heal them for 15,345 health over 8 seconds. So again, this is your third very powerful heal over time, but this one is specifically for you or your group. If you're running solo, then of course it's for you. This is a very good skill to have on any companion healer build, in my opinion. It's a very powerful one. I really thoroughly enjoy this. Last but not least is a very powerful ultimate, which is Impeccable Shot. Impeccable Shot deals a massive 26,800 physical damage to anybody that she hits right off the bat. So right off the bat, she deals a pretty massive amounts of damage just with the ultimate itself. But that's probably the least favorable part of this, because if you're running Mirri in a group of say 3 DPSs and then you have Mirri activate this, everybody who is dealing damage, say to a boss that is affected by this ultimate, will take 20% more damage for 3 full seconds. So if you are able to anticipate this, give the word out to anybody out there or your allies, it would be pretty insane, because 20% more damage for 3 seconds and times that by 3 would be insane amounts of damage. This is a great ultimate to say the least. Well, there's no recommendation for this. If you're gonna run Mirri, you're gonna have this ultimate eventually, because it's the only one that she can have on. This ends up being a great healing build, and arguably probably the best healer in the game right now because of her Dark Elf skill. Right off the bat, she does 3% more damage. Of course, Bastion does that as well. But the most important part for this build is actually the healing done by 3%. So all of her heals automatically get a boost of 3% health at any given time because of her racial skill. Very powerful to say the least, guys. If you're gonna run just one companion as a healer, I think Mirri is it because of her racial passive. Moving on to the gear, however, this is probably going to be pretty obvious for the most part, but I always like to say this when I get into the gear. I like to run my companions in a typical fashion that would emulate a character that you would build for yourself, right? So you have 2 5-piece sets and a 2-piece monster set. Mythics aren't applicable here because there's nothing that is equitable to a companion, right? So right off the bat though, the first 5-piece set is actually your rings and jewelry, or your jewelry and your weapons, and that will be the quickened trait, which reduces the cooldown of your abilities by 2.6% each. Very powerful to say the least. And this, I find, just having the rings and the weapons, it ends up being pretty powerful because she always seemingly has always heals available for you, and you're low-key borderline unkillable because of this. And we'll see, I'll show you that once we get to the solo boss fight. here in a second. The second 5-piece set, however, this is going to be another obvious one, is the Soothing trait. This is going to go on the body, 5-piece here, Soothing, which increases your healing done by 1.7%. So if you were to get hit by a boss by a massive, damage, but you're still hanging on by a thread, the Soothing trait is going to come in clutch for you. That mixed in with the Quickened ability, which pretty much seems like she always has heals available for you. It's almost like you're never gonna die and she'll always have your back no matter what. Of course, a lot of that, if you were to die, chances are most of that's probably negligence or lack of, skill, unfortunately. But it's okay, we've all been there at some point. And the last 2-piece set, surprise, it's also the Soothing set. So everything on the body is Soothing, and the rings or the jewelry and the weapons is Quickened. This ends up being, right off the bat, a very powerful build, to say the least. She doesn't have, like, if you were to put everything in Soothing, she would have massive heals, but slower. Right, she'll be able to apply those skills a little bit slower. Whether, on the other hand, if you were to go all Quickened, she would have a ton of smaller heals, but she'll be able to pump them out back to back to back to back, which could prove to be effective if I'm being completely honest. But this finds a nice little balance between the two, and I find that it ends up being excellent, to say the least. In terms of style, she is just rocking a crown shop item that is the Buoyant Gent, I can't say that word, ensemble. In terms of dyes, very simple, nothing in the middle slot, and then the 2 other ones is Woodworker Yellow. And I find that to be actually pretty nice, to say the least. For weapons, it's basically all just blood gold. I think blood gold is a fantastic color and makes it look beautiful. So with that being said, let's go solo a boss and see how she does in the healing department. So there you have it, guys. That was the Mirri healer build. I really thoroughly enjoyed this build, and as you guys saw in that solo boss fight, she was able to heal pretty much everything and keep me at 100%, 99.5% of the time. And whenever I lost any health, it was only just a few percentage points, and then right after that, my health went all the way up. It was a great it's a great build overall. I really thoroughly enjoy this, guys. If you run Mirri as a healer and you run this build or a similar build to this, let me know down in the comment section down below. Very interested to hear what you have to say. But that's gonna go ahead and do it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed it, do me a huge favor, drop a like on this video. Also subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, because it really does help this channel grow. So with that being said, catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.